So far we have implemented two click handlers, which is discard and refresh, and we are going to implement save button handler little later. Now we will implement enable or disable logic for the save button. Save button will be disabled when all the three forms are pristine or any of the form is invalid. And for that we need all the three forms on parent component. And that can be done by exposing the output property in each three component. So if you look at customer component, here we will create a form emitter. For simplicity we will keep type any, and once the form is created we are going to emit the form. So similarly same thing will be done on the vehicle. We will expose the output property and we are going to emit the form once the form is created, and same thing is done on other component. Now in the HTML of parent component we are going to have three handlers which will handle the forms emitted by the child component. If we go to the TS file, here we are going to create a form array, and whatever the form is emitted from its child component, for example here in the vehicle, we are going to push that form into the form array. So similarly is done for the customer and other form. We can use form array on HTML. So here we are going to use disabled property equal to form add dot invalid or form add dot pristine. Let's save and go to the browser. So let me, okay, so form is getting reloaded. Alright, so now you can see the save button is disabled because form is invalid and pristine also. So let me make it valid, and as soon as we do it, save button is enabled. If we go to the HTML file, there is one problem here. You can see this expression can be a complex expression. So if one more variable comes into play, then we will have to write the expression again. So to handle it, we are going to use observables, and here in the TS file I am going to declare an observable which is derived from form arrays value changes, which will map the form arrays pristine property into is pristine $observable. Similarly for invalid status we are going to derive one more observable, and we are going to declare one more observable which will be using the combine latest observable, and it is going to use is pristine and is valid observables which are previously declared. Now here what it will do, as soon as any of the observable emit the value, it will calculate the expression and it is going to return. So we are going to use this observable into our HTML. Let me save it here, and we are going to use async pipe. So async, let me save it in the TS file also, and let's go to the browser. Okay, so let's wait. Now you can see save button is disabled, and if we make any changes it is not going to enable, and as soon as the form is valid this button will be enabled. Similarly we will implement the state of discard button. So let me go to the VS Code. Here I am going to declare discard button status $, and it will be enabled when the form is dirty. So let me make the changes in HTML also. So here I am using the async pipe, and let me save and go to the browser. Alright, so here you can see initially discard button is disabled. As soon as I make the changes, button is enabled. So let me discard it and form value is reset, but this discard button is not disabled. So let's see what is the problem behind it. Let me go to the VS Code, and here on the discard function, as soon as we click on discard button, we need to mark the form array as pristine and untouched. So let me save it and go to the browser. Let's wait and let me make some changes here. Okay, discard button is enabled, and as soon as we click on discard button, form value is reset as well as they go to their initial state. Now let's implement rights. If user doesn't have rights to update, then save and discard button will be disabled. Also the form will be disabled. So let's go to the VS Code. Here first we are going to implement the rights for the save button. So as of now it depends upon two observables. Now we are going to use third observable, which will be derived from the rights. So for that we are going to declare a behavior subject, rights subject, and then we are going to declare the stream. So in this stream we are calling write service dot get rights method, and we are mapping the rights objects has update right property into observable, and then in the tap operator we are going to emit that value. And now we are going to subscribe this one into fork join, and we will use this right subject, which will act as an observable also in the save buttons combine latest observable, and we will receive the rights, and we will use the condition, which is if user doesn't have right, then save button will be disabled. So this expression is handled here, and you can see we haven't touched anything here. So here we will keep one variable which is observable and not the variable, and we will manipulate internally this observable. So let's save and go to the browser. Here you can see, let's check whether what are the rights. So let me go to the rights service and get rights. Here you can see that we have update rights. So let me make it false. Okay, and go to the browser. So let it be reloaded. All right, so save button depends upon two. One is pristine. Now the form is pristine, so we can say button is disabled, and form is valid. But form is valid and it is no more pristine, still the save button is disabled. That means our implementation is working fine. Let's implement the same thing for discard button. So here we will change the implementation of discard button status. We will make it same as for the save button using the combine latest. So first let's declare the observable form not dirty, which will be derived from the form dirty property, and we will use the combine latest and remove this is invalid property as well as invalid property that we receive from this combine latest observable, and we are done here. So as of now we do not have rights. So if you go to the right service, you can see has update rights equal to false, and discard button will be enabled when the form is dirty. So let's go to the UI, and here I made the change form is dirty, but discard button is not enabled because it doesn't have rights to update. Let's implement the same thing for forms as well. So let me go to the VS Code. Here we are going to add one more property into all three models, which is customer, vehicle, and other info, and this property name is has rights. So this property will be an optional property, and initially value will be false. Actual value of this property will be filled at the time of fork join. So here we receive the rights, and now we are going to get the rights as rights, sorry, so rights, and now we are going to attach this property to all the objects. So customer dot has rights equal to has rights, and same thing will be done for vehicle and other info. Now our objects has rights property. Now let's modify the form here. So in the form we are going to receive the has rights property, and this disable will depend upon this property. So we are going to use data dot has rights. So this will be disabled when it doesn't have rights. So the same thing will be done for the other control, and let us save all the forms and files, and let's see. Okay, now let's go to the browser, and yes, now if you look at the other information form, both the form fields are disabled because we are using the same rights here. Now this right can be a simple one property, or it can be an object. So we can pass that rights object also, and we can define for each of the fields. So for example, if for notes this form control depends upon some other conditions, then we can pass that object here, and we can use that property for that specific right. So we can handle each and every form. So let me finish it for customer and vehicle also. So let me go to the vehicle.ts, and here we are going to change the property and odometer return registration date. Let's save it, and same thing for customer as well. So control V and save. Let's go to the browser and check it out. All right, so one field is still remaining. Let me see. Yes, the email field is remaining, and let me save it. Let me go back to the browser. Let's wait. All right, now you can see all the forms field are disabled because user doesn't have update rights. Let's implement save button, and before that let's give the rights to the user in the service. And let me go to the component, and here on the save button, first we are going to declare an object, and then we are going to iterate through all the forms which are there in the form array, and we get the form value into one object, and we assign it into the complete object, and let's log it. Also we will pass into save data method. So let me save and go to the browser. Let's wait. All right, so we'll open developers tool, and let's assign some value 500 and clear the console and save it. So let me pass. So here you can see we have called the we have logged the object, and you can see all the properties of all three forms is available here, and then after 2 seconds data saved is we get the response. Our save button implementation is working fine, but still there is one more problem. So let me click on multiple times. So I clicked 5 times, you can see, and we got the response 5 times. So this often leads to undesirable results, because once we click on the save, this operation should be completely saved, and then only this button should be enabled or disabled. So let's see how can we implement it. Now one way is to declare a variable on the class level is saved equal to false, and then when we click on this button we can make it true, and once we get the response then we can again make it false. In this way we can manage this state, but there is one powerful RxJS operator which is exhaust map, and that is perfectly applicable here. What it does, it will ignore all the clicks until we receive the response. So if I click 5 times and response takes time, so all the next 4 clicks will be ignored and only one click will be there. So I have written a blog on Medium. You can find that it will give all the details how to or when to use exhaust map, and we are going to use this solution. So I have provided a solution here. Let me copy and implement it. So first we are going to declare one subject of type boolean, and then in ng on init hook we are going to declare a method. So let me go to the ng on init hook. Yes, we declare a subscribe save, and third one is we are going to declare this subscribe save method. So let me go to here. After save we are going to declare this method, and of course we are going to import RxJS operator, and the form value will be received from here. So let me cut and paste, and we are going to pass this value into save data method. Okay, and the last one is on button click we will emit the value from subject. Okay, control V and save. Okay, let's go to the browser. We'll clear the console and let's fill the details, and we are going to click multiple times. So I clicked 3-4 times. You can see we got only one response. Now one requirement is still remaining. If we are in the middle of the form changes and we haven't saved the changes, and if we click on some other route, for example if I click on login, so it should ask for the permission whether you want to leave or you want to stay on the page. So for that we are going to implement can deactivate route. So this is already implemented or explained in the part 1. Here we are going to use the same thing because this is the best way. So we will copy it and we will assign it to the good route, and we are going to implement the interface. So let me copy it from here. It will implement can deactivate interface. So let me go to the component, and we are going to provide can deactivate, and we are going to implement can deactivate method. So let me copy and paste, and here instead of form we have form array. So let me save it, import this card. All right, so let me save it. It is compiled, and let me go to the component. Let me clear all those things, and we should make the changes here in the form. So as soon as I click, it will ask for the confirmation, and if we select no, we'll stay on the same route, and if we click yes, then we'll be navigated to the designated route. Now let's fill the form and click on save button. Now once the operation is completed, we are going to make it into the initial state. So for that, what we are going to do, on the subscribe of save button, we are going to call the refresh button, and in the refresh button, let's check, we are going to again declare the stream, and in the fork join we are going to clear the array first, form array, clear this dot form array dot clear and reset. So this dot form array dot reset. Let me save it and go back to the browser. Let me clear the console. All right, so now let's fill the form and click on save multiple times. So data is saved. See what is the problem. All right, the route is not correct, so let me change the route. Okay, clear the console and let me fill the form. Clear the console and click on save button multiple times. So let's wait for the response, and as soon as we get the response, we are going to refresh the screen and you can see the form is in initial state. Now let's summarize what we have done so far. So first point is segregation. If we go to the code, here we segregated the one complex form into 3 separate forms: vehicle, customer and other info. And if one more section comes into play, then we are going to declare that API into declare stream method, and in the fork zone we are going to subscribe it and emit the value, and hence the form will be displayed. So this is relatively easy. Second is reactive programming. So if you look at the form, there is no simple variable. We are not using simple variable for the state management. Everything is done using observable. So here you are not going to see the simple variable except the form, which is of course needed. So third point is OnPush change detection strategy. So for all the dumb component, we are going to use OnPush change detection, and if there are 10 forms there, we will use OnPush strategy there. I hope you must have learned something very useful in this session, and we will bring one more part where we are going to implement some design pattern. So let's meet in next lecture. Till then, happy programming.